Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 449, and today we're doing battle with Aphelios Viktor. And so, I'm sure half of my viewer base has started up the video and said, what is going on? Am I on Majin Bay's channel today? Am I on some Control Deck Enjoyers channel today? What is happening with Bust? And I'll tell you now, not nearly as pretty as Majin Bay, not nearly as skillful, but I do have a way better accent, so that counts for something in the in the grand scheme of things. Am I right? But nonetheless, the focus on today's deck is going to be Cosmic Call. This is one of the cards that released out of the Variety set, and I initially rated this card quite low. Upon my first and second and third and probably fourth reading, thought that the way that this worked was that you spent 2 mana and got a big invoke, or you spent 8 mana and got to reduce the cost of your Celestials by half. Turns out that's sort of how it works. You get to spend 2 mana and get the big invoke, or you can spend 8, reduce their cost by half, and also get the big invoke. I really missed on that also wording in here that really pops this card off. And so this has been the kind of belle of the ball, if you will, as far as the release of the Heart of the Huntress variety patch goes in terms of the competitive format. If you're not familiar with the astronomically big play that you can make with Cosmic Call, that's going to be using the generated card Living Legends, which fills up your hand with celestial cards and then refills all of your mana. So if we say go into a turn with 3 spell mana banked up and say it's turn 8, we can spend 6 mana on something else, whatever that is, normal cards and the like, use our remaining 5 mana to play Cosmic Call. That's going to fill up our hand with those Celestials that have had their cost reduced by half, and then get us back up to 8 mana. And so just an incredibly, incredibly powerful play, especially in the sense that you can chain these together, and you can play multiple Living Legends within the same turn if it manages to generate one on its own, and all of these generated cards can have their cost reduced by the likes of something like, say, Viktor, as we're playing here today. And so as we move back to the kind of the main deck, I've talked a fair amount of trash about these decks over the course of the past few days. I didn't like a lot of the versions that were running around. I felt like they were just all playing a bunch of bad cards, and so I don't want to be playing Diana in this format. I don't want to be playing anything with the name Stellacorn in it. I don't want to be playing any of these just really ultra defensive based cards. And I think that now that people have had a week or so to play with this, we're starting to move away from that. And that's what really kind of drew me towards this Aphelios Viktor style deck is I like a lot of the control deck happenings that are going on with this between the Duskbringers generating cards and the Ballistic Bots generating cards and being able to discard these things to Sump Dredgers and Blowbacks and the like. I've always been a fan of this card generation into discard style control deck. It's always based off of Aphelios and Viktor, but it's kind of interesting and nice to now pivot from having to use something like the Winding Light into being able to use these cards like Cosmic Call, especially as we see cards like Targonian Tellstones really pop off in strength over the course of the past 2 or 3 months, with it generating an Invoke, having a Hush, which had its cost reduced, and had the Taric +3/+3 have its cost reduced as well, and now it's generating cards that also work with the Aphelios and Viktor. Like, just so many nice things coming out of these Targonian Tellstones. I think that this is a fantastic way to kind of cycle back to a lot of the strengths within these decks. It also ties into what I've kind of spouted out as being one of the pillars of the format, is to being able to answer one of your opponent's early game plays. It's very easy in this format to just kind of run away with the game. You play a Zoe, she's unanswered. You play a Samira, she's unanswered. You play a Jax, he's unanswered. You play an Akshan, he's unanswered. Just so many cards in the format right now that can just overwhelm and scale out a game if you don't answer it. I think it's very important to have early game answers to those style of cards. And so that was the next thing that really drew me to this style, is I want to be playing Cosmic Call, but I also love that we're able to play Thermogenic Beam and play Mystic Shot and play Blowback. So we have a few answers to those very high impact early game plays. The last thing to kind of be calling out with this is our defensive suite, if you will. The Fangs has been upgraded here in the Variety Patch to be back to his original 3 attack. Very strong defensive card in this set, especially as you can say, give it +3/+3 off of a Targonian Tellstones and have this just giant lifesteal unit running around. Excuse me, and then we also have access to Sump Monument, recently nerfed again. It doesn't show in the picture, but this now costs 4 mana and shuffles 5 puff caps in at a time, but we're realistically just looking at this to give us an extra 2 or 3 turns to the game, and that'll give us time to cast our Cosmic Call and get a big Invoke in hand and get that onto the board and take over from there. And so that's what we're kind of classically hoping to see out of a card like Sump Monument, not have it come down on like turn 3 and just sit there fucking forever like it was trying to do in the in the Teemo decks of the previous season, but just give us 2 or 3 turns to really pop off with our big high-powered stuff, and then call it a day from there if the opponent's still able to deal damage through all of that. And so that's it. That's the deck. That's what we're doing battle with today. I checked in on the pay-to-win price, and it's been paid up. We are looking good to go there. Got to get that score reset. We're not 0-2, we're 0-0. Let's jump on into these games. All right, the battles begin. What do we got? A little bit of Norra Bard. Let's see if we get some of those 0-3s hitting the board here early. And so at the start, I think this is a reasonable enough hand. The opponent shouldn't be able to attack us down very quickly. Like the Norra decks tend to be much more value heavy and trying to load up the board with a bunch of bad units. And so the way I'm kind of envisioning this start is this is good. I like starting with 1 Cosmic Call because if opponent wants to just sit around and not do anything, we can just pop this off on turn 5 and essentially win the game from there. Otherwise, we have a Mystic Shot to deal with a Norra, and then if things are going to be a little bit slower this game, we can go with Ballistic Bot on turn 2, and then turn 3 Zonite Urchin away the the spell to get us a little bit more on track in terms of that value game we're trying to play. Proximity Puff Cap. Oh, snap, son. I didn't expect that one to be rolling through. Not that big of a deal, though. We can add in the Duskbringer. We can still discard the Dusk Petal. We'll be sitting at 2 mana to where we can hang out with the Mystic Shot on board, and then we can drop Viktor next turn. I'm not super interested in trying to trade our Duskbringer off for this bird. Will that happen next turn? Most likely, but one of these spots we talk about frequently is, is your ability to refill the board. And what I mean by that is the opponent, with all of their portals and everything, should have a pretty easy time keeping 6 units on the board, but we're not gonna be there. We're not gonna have that same ability. And so I just want to keep our units back as blockers. So if opponents, putting portal units into their hand, great, those aren't attacking, but we're limited on our side to what we can block with. Now here, I don't love Mystic Shotting this Norra. If opponent has a second Norra, they can still play her and just attack. I would much rather be in a spot to where we're going to Mystic Shot that Norra in combat, but my concern in that space is if you do have some kind of interactivity, you have some kind of combat trick and you cancel our Mystic Shot, then we really missed out on an opportunity to get that extra strong unit off of the board. And so it's a little bit of a bummer to have to do it there, but I think it's fine. Now here, reasonable enough to just trade away our Viktor. I had to suspect that if he's attacking with Viktor into this board, he's not going to be super... he's probably just not doing it without a combat trick, but I think that's okay. I'm not too worried about building up a big Viktor and trying to pop off in that sense. I'd like to just have the opponent spend a bunch of mana on stuff that doesn't matter. Alright, losing those portals. Not a bad hit with the Mentor of the Stones. He's got a fairly meaty board happening out here.
We will resist.
The Realm's Caretaker coming out and doing some work. So we might find ourselves needing to drop this Sump Monument next turn. It just kind of is what it is. We'll still drop the Cosmic Call here, see who we hit. There's a Living Legends, no complaints about that. And do we want to drop in the Zonite Urchin? I kind of like in this space playing the Urchin and discarding a Sump Monument. You don't need 2. And then the question will be, do we want to Living Legends next turn, or is that just too early? We can still reasonably Like, just play the Sump Monument and pass, and then bank up into the opponent's turn and try and do something there.
The unknown can be quite invigorating.
I think I'm okay to wait just one round. Like, if opponent was in a spot to where I think we could say, like, supernova their whole board, I would feel a little bit better about playing the Living Legends this turn, but I think I'm going to look to just, like, drop the Monument. I'm going to play the Tellstones and just discard it, and then just take this biggest Living Legends that we can next turn. So we are going to have this 9 mana, so we'll be in a spot to where, you know, we can play the Fangs, we'll have 5 mana built up, and then we can follow up with the Living Legends and see if we can't limit what the opponent's doing here. We are going to get, you know, pretty nugged in this combat, but, you know, hopefully it's not enough portals, right? it's gonna be like 1,000 puff caps hitting the deck. But you just got a high roll for like one turn, and then the game's over and we win. Alright, who's the biggest one? The Caretaker? Alright. There's a lot of big numbers hitting the deck, not gonna lie. What'd that get up to? 220? About 10 damage a turn or so. We can fade that. Alright, so the Fangs comes in. Not really interested in any of these. We'll just pick up the Equinox. Now we'll bring in a Living Legends and see if we can't start some shenanigans.
My, what fascinating places you must have been.
Alright, a pretty weak one. We didn't hit any of the big spells. It looks like the highest cost cards we hit are going to be the Fallen Comet and the Meteor Shower. Kind of a bummer. Kind of a bummer. I don't really want to just be pivoting over to Aphelios at this point, but these cards are all so bad. This is one of the downsides to the Invokes, is sometimes you just completely whiff. Alright, Moon Boy. Where are you at? We'll pick up a Severum next turn. Where is Gravitum? So now, I'm gonna put a Moon Glow on the Moon Boy. What a just disaster round of an Invoke thing, though. Alright, squeeze them cheeks, fellas. We got a lot of top decking to do. Only 15 damages rolling through. Alright, GG.
The sun will set, and we will
That's
rise
tough.
again.
Those units ramped up really fast. Weren't able to get on board just fast enough. Maybe we should have been a little bit safer with our Viktor. All right, though, up against old Lee Sin from the Cephalopod. With this, like, this is another space where Sump Monument could be quite interesting. You know, it's better to just not die to Lee Sin than it is to just put a bunch of puff caps in the deck. But I don't think we want to be starting with it. He's playing Viktor Lee Sin. I'm gonna just hang on to the Cosmic Call, cycle away everything else, and look for some of our better early game plays. Sump Monument, though, is saying, don't do it, bro. Don't make the rookie mistake and get rid of me. You gotta hang on to me.
The spirit gives to those who listen.
I think I want to beam this. Like, we should maybe be saving this beam for a Viktor, but our mana's kind of fucky at this point. Like I'm kind of under the assumption that this next turn we're just gonna we're not gonna play any cards and we're just gonna bank the 3 mana, and then we'll play Viktor on turn 4. Then turn 5 we'll start in on Cosmic Calls, and so it's kind of nice to just go ahead and spew it off since we're not gonna find too many opportunities to use that mana, and then we're just never gonna be able to play the beam.
Join the glorious evolution.
I got a Viktor, you got a Viktor. The epic showdown.
Analyzing approach.
Alright, we got a lifesteal. You got a faded.
Force is meaningless without
Dang,
skill.
son.
A
Lee
pleasure to
coming down
see you,
quick.
Master.
Kind of want our burn spells back. I was not expecting him to hit the board so quickly. It's not that scary though. Like, I mean, he's gonna kill our Viktor. That's just what's gonna happen out of this Lee Sin. I was trying to think if we want to potentially just go ahead and drop the ballistic bot a little bit early. I don't think that's really in the cards though. I think we want to just pop off and try and hit expensive units as fast as we can. It's gonna pass? Oh, that's not delightful. I mean, I guess it's kind of okay. If we get to hang on to our Viktor for another turn, just this 5 bank is kind of huge. But it's like, I don't want to just play our Cosmic Call and be like, oh, I guess you can do whatever you want, you know? It's like, you know, if you want to just see us over here hanging out with 0 mana while you've got both of your champions on the board, yeah, maybe that's not as ideal as one would think. See how this goes. We can pop a barrier with a Mystic Shot here, so if we get a chance to take Lee down, that would be pretty good. I suspect Lee's gonna have access to you know, some kind of health boosting thing. So let's at least see how this plays out. I do want to start like spewing off some of our hand though. I think I'm leaning towards just actually just discarding both of these units to empty out the space. A deny. Okay. So I mean, one of the at least like positive things here is we don't have to worry about getting OTK'd next turn. Ideally. Ideally, we don't have anything to get OTK'd by. Like, if he doesn't have a unit on board, he can't challenge off of Lee Sin.
I fight with the dragon spirit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Energy core upgrade.
Do we just keep passing? Is this the way this game's going to continue on? He just never attacks and keeps sending it back turn after turn? I don't know. That feels positive to me. If we get out of this turn without him hitting us for 14 or 16, whatever this was.
To me, my little brethren.
We're gonna start adding more units to the board.
Our goals are greater than petty violence.
It's like it's a fairly tempting spot to just drop the monument, but what's that? 8. He could still aftershock out of this. So it'd be 16. It's like, what are the chances of him lethaling are pretty good here. Alright, so he can still aftershock this, right? He has the potential to have Piltover and Tell Stones to blow up the monument, but you know, let's just take a little bit of damage, I guess, you know. just a little bit of damage rolling through. How much is this now? 75? That's only like 3 damage a turn. Who cares? Who cares?
It's all in the mind.
Out here having some fun today, dropping the sump monuments into the lands. 2. What a joke of a card. What a joke. Pick 2. I pass. I should have realized how bonkers that was gonna be. Oh man. Into the next turn though. He's doing a bunch of stuff. We'll have the opportunity to pop off next turn. I'm curious how quickly. Well, I guess it doesn't even really matter with this attack. He's gonna get to hit us for a ton of damage. It's gonna be a matter of can we survive into our next turn. And you know, if he's only dealing like 40 damage and putting us up to like the 10 damage range in puff caps, we still got to feel pretty safe. Six is a little bit higher, but we can heal up a bit with these star shapings. It's going to be a question of do we want to go like full greed mode and drop the cosmic call?
No materials, no improvements.
No, we can't. We're mana short of being able to do that. Got a second Living Legends, pretty cool. Got another Living Legends, pretty cool. Alright, let's start doing stuff. Let's start having some fun, you know? So we can spend 4 on the turn. These Written in the Stars are going to be problematic. I don't really want these in our hand, and we don't have a way to discard them currently. So another thing we can look towards doing is we want to play out as much of this stuff as we can, but we can also like Moon Silver onto Star Shaping to find ourselves a little bit more mana space. Is that the right word? Mana space? It's all about the mana space, boys. Give me a little bit more of that mana space, please. That's what we need to pop off. So the thing I don't really want to be doing is putting this Immortal Fire on the board. Like, just having Lee Sin capable of getting double damage in on the kicks is kind of annoying. So it's not something I really want to see. Alright, what are we at? 182 puff caps? It's only like 6 damage a turn. Alright, so we're gonna probably overspend a couple of mana here. Did we just hit like, oh my god, can you have more Written in the Stars? Jesus. I don't want to write you, stars. I don't want to write you whatsoever.
Brilliant design.
Alright, are we just going for the second Living Legends here? Maybe we'll have a better go at it next turn.
Join me if you want to live.
Alright, so what are we at?
Once I set papers
187 puff caps. Let's go, boys.
of the petty fire.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Safety is engaged.
6 damage, LOL.
We must
Alright, so the big thing with Viktor, he makes all of our created cards cost 1 less. If you're not familiar with all of these other created cards we have, like our Living Legends, all of those written in the stars that we've been developing have that opportunity to grow. Alright, let's get out here and get ready to have some fun. See if we get a little bit better go with our Living Legends. Do we want a Death Ray? Just to open up another space in our hand? I think I'm okay with that. We don't particularly need this Viktor. So we could have done this a little smoother. We could have Death Rayed with something on the stack, but I think this is fine.
Master.
Alright, do we got any good ones in here? Warrior, there's a Supernova, that's always fun. Let's look at this. We got 2 copies of the Traveler as well. Let's just start off with these Equinoxes. We're gonna be here a while, okay? This would be a good time if you want to go and grab a snack. You know, get yourself a cup of coffee or something. We'll be here. We'll be here for 10-15 minutes or so. So why anyone in the world enjoys playing these dumbass decks is beyond me. But we're gonna be here for a while. Strap in. Let's see. You can add in the Traveler. Something cheap's what we're looking for. The Great Beyond could be okay. We already have 1 Crescent Strike. It's kind of nice to have access to these cheaper spells. Gotta make sure we don't bank too low with this. Don't think we need Cosmic Inspiration. Just pick up another Warrior.
I am the Traveler.
Drop in some stuns. Alright, Living Legends again. I'm here to party, bro. I'm here to party. Let's get the messenger on board. Things are happening. Things are moving. So we can add the Destroyer, we can add the Scourge. We can overwrite something with the Immortal Fire as well. And he's just gonna go boom, get you for 14, am I right? Let's see, we can get a couple more stuns on the round. But let's hang on to Viktor. We'll overwrite the Scourge. I'm gonna drop a Crescent Strike on 2 of these dum-dums.
Even at war, you remain so calm.
Would panicking help, brother?
Let's see if perhaps that's enough. Need this 24 attack Destroyer to come in and get the job done.
Trust your heart.
Alright, is that it? Is that enough?
You cannot
Did
win.
we do it? We did. Well done, team. Nice work, Sunk Monument. What a dumb game. What a dumb game. That's what life's all about, though. Now, the thing I'm still curious about with that is we did have that second Cosmic Call that we actually just used for an Invoke. I'm curious if we should not have done that and just actually used it for the cheapening thing, and if that wouldn't have messed up our hand so much. So there was a little bit of choice in there, but LOL. Hope you had fun with that one, the Cephalopod. If you're not familiar with him, he does quite a bit of work in in the deck building space. He posts a lot of decks over on the Runeterra.ar. As a, I believe I don't know if he streams or does YouTube. I'm pretty sure he does the YouTube. And then he's just a fantastically strong player. He likes to hang out on the front page of the rankings. So he's got a little bit more game than old FTP Bust, but sometimes you're able to take victory over the superior player, and that's what we're all about. That's what we're all about. What do we got? The opponent has not presented us with a particularly strong Lurk draw. Tempted to just keep passing here and let the mana bank up into the Mystic Shot. This is like not to trash too hard on opponent here, but this is one of the spots you do find commonly in the queue for Eternal. It's like it hasn't figured out how the MMR is supposed to work or something, and so you'll get awkwardly paired a lot. Like I typically check on the deck tracker and see if the opponent's hit masters in standard yet, and that's typically a decent barometer if you're about to get into battle with somebody that's a little more acclimated to the competitive scene. And that's not quite what we saw here, but nonetheless, you got to do what you can to take down those filthy Lurk players, and so feels good to be able to take down a filthy Lurk player. So under normal circumstances, I would say I don't think this dude ever has a combat trick. Like typically, all you ever see out of Lurk is going to be like a ruthless predator, and so these attacks should be fine. You know, there's a chance that it's going to have a problem card here, but I think it's worth the attack. Getting the chance to just take down Pike would be kind of nice. But we're popping off now. This draw opponents had, they just must have a hand completely full of like 5 and 6 drops or something.
Another brilliant design. Analyzing approach.
We're just gonna look to block Rek'Sai with the Dustbringer, cast a spell onto Pike, get him off the board. I was a little worried that there was gonna be like just a big collection of spells that applied to Rek'Sai to get her to flip, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case. We want to discard the Forge Chief in this spot. I think that's okay. We're pretty close to popping off for the lethal.
We will be free.
We can add the bot. Rek'Sai's going to go away. We have 9 power of dudes on board. Mystic Shot in hand. We'll get an ignition. Like, we have some decent stuff coming together for this next turn. Siphoning Strike. Ew. We can come in for the 5. We'll have the ignition plus Mystic Shot. That should be enough to get us there. See how opponent feels about dropping Rite of Negations onto an ignition. Whew, did you all see that game we just played where we cast Living Legends like 6 times? That's what I'm talking about in terms of the Cosmic Call stuff perhaps needing a nerf. I feel like Riot lets obnoxious stuff happen up through like 10 mana. If you're at 10 mana, you can do whatever obnoxious stuff that you want. That stuff that we were doing with the Living Legends and the Cosmic Calls, not really supposed to be doing that kind of stuff on turn 8 or so. So I'm curious if the fix to Living Legends isn't, say, like refill spell mana or refill mana equal to the mana spent on this, or respill like just a generic 5 mana or something. I'm curious kind of like what the angle is, but I think like a little bit of something's gonna have to be done there, and so we'll see. But we're up against what should be the mirror match with Viktor Aphelios. I'm gonna hang on to the Dustbringer and the Cosmic Call just to have something to do in the early game, and then our big important spell, and hopefully with the double Cosmic Call we'll just be out here popping off.
Or the blade.
Interested to see how this goes. It's like if opponent just comes in and makes the trade, then we get to play Forge Chief next turn. That would be kind of cool.
We were peaceful once.
Alright, well, we didn't directly get him.
Lunari, rise!
Didn't directly get him.
Keep it up!
Alright, this is a fine to just bank through. Maybe we'll find something to do eventually, you know?
It's our time!
I have a feeling both us and opponent are going to be dropping Cosmic Calls next turn. Maybe. Maybe. I mean, we do have a potential opportunity to look towards just going for a burn route, since he did let us get him to 12 so early. We'll see if it turns itself up. But, as you're out here with ignitions and stuff and popping off on these boards, you can just kind of surprise get them. Right, fuck it, we're just gonna run it this time. This is this is probably not the way we should be going about it, but you know, after that last game, we're just gonna YOLO a little bit. I guess opponent didn't have their Cosmic Calls. I would assume we're playing the same deck now that you see the Fangs turn up and he's playing Star-Tipped Peaks. I think that's probably valid.
Can you improve perfection?
Alright, I'm just gonna drop the Monument and pass. Hopefully this will get us in a spot to where next turn we can just play the second Cosmic Call, and then our spells will be so cheap from there that we're just good to go. We play one copy of Piltover Tellstones. That's our access to Aftershock. I would say that this person probably has some access to it. Just curious what it will be. May not want to play the Cosmic Call now, though. I mean, this is a very good Supernova board with both Viktor and Aphelios on it. Man, we're just so close to popping off.
They forced us to choose death or the blade.
I mean, if push comes to shove in this combat, we do have a blowback to potentially take down one unit or something, but I don't know, it just feels so safe when you have the Monument on board.
With a knight's embrace.
You leave me no recourse.
Okay. What is this? 8, 10, 13? 13 times 5? What's that? 60? This is the best part of every Bust video. Watch Bust sit around and try and do some math. Oh man, that never goes well. Alright, we're looking good now though. The additional living legends coming in. Let's start casting some spells. We may not want to actually even cast it on this next turn. We'll see. We're at 8 mana, we'll have 9 to start with. I mean, I definitely want to be dropping Supernovas on these units right at the go.
From darkness, light.
But I kind of want to clear out these cards like Dusk Petal Dust that aren't doing anything. Where are we at? Like, that would be... We're 1 mana short of, say, like, blowbacking away 2 Dusk Petals and then dropping a Living Legends after. Alright, well, let's spend our 6. We're just so safe at this point with the monument taking us to the 64 puff cap, so you just don't have to worry about anything. It's not like we're gonna die to this stuff anytime soon.
Steel and science.
Wow, that's kind of an obnoxious kind of an obnoxious one. Those cards all suck. Who are we going for out of here? Meteor Shower, not quite enough to take down Viktor. The Warrior can do it, maybe. I mean, opponent's got Gravitum at this point, so my expectations are going to be fairly low in terms of just having one unit get an attack in. Let's see, another pretty weak one. It's like tempting to just pick up the Serpent because it's so cheap. But I think I want the Immortal Fire.
Now they see who I truly am.
So I think at the end of the day, like, we're going to drop the Warrior here. I think we want to keep 1 mana. Well, we don't need to keep 1 mana banked up. I was going to say, I think I want to keep 1 mana banked up. So if we go into this next turn and play Star Shaping and then have the mana to still play a Living Legends if we hit it. But our Living Legends cost 3 at this point, so it's not quite the same. We can still Star Shaping into Living Legends and being able to play it.
We will resist.
Alright, take him to 7. Take about 4 damage off these puff caps, call it a day, you know? Oh, what a joke. What a joke. Oh man, I want to leave this video at home so people don't get to see how obnoxious this thing can be. Like, freshly nerfed, still completely obnoxious. Oh, took a damage. Oh, what a joke. What a joke. Alright. You're starting to make me worry. This game just has to be done, right? I don't know. Whenever we say this game has to be done, we always find a way to end up losing. But I don't know, man. This just feels like it has to be done. Alright, Gravitum in. I'm kind of curious if we want to just like play the Thermogenic Beam to get it out of hand. That's probably not the case. Like, as it goes next turn, you can generate Behold the Infinites off of your Tellstones, and so just in our quest to find another Living Legends, we have a few different tools we can try to use to find it. We'll go with the Great Beyond out of that one. I think we still want to see if we can't dig and find it. not. These kind of suck. I like the value angle of the Golden Sister, but just gonna snatch up the Charger. Make sure we have the mana to play all of these big units. There's the one you wanted to see. There it is. I think it'll probably get stunned or something, but it's taking a lot of effort to stop these. Try and stop these units. Okay. So I think he still has one expensive card in hand, right? He played a heal 5 thing, which we're still fine to play through. LOL. He just had that one big obnoxious turn and it's just done nothing. Oh, what a joke. You can still play one more big unit at this point. There it is. So we have a blocker in the Great Beyond, but not quite enough after that. Oh no, did we just get killed? Oh no, I missed the I missed the serpent. We should have totally killed the serpent. I spaced so far out of this game. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. We might have found our way to come in and lose this one. Well, I guess we have this angle to just prevent the majority of the damage. Transform a follower into that guy. So now we only take 5. Okay. Maybe that's a little safer. I just like sat here and was like, herpity derpity, I'm going to ensure that we get this unit off of the board with our block and everything is okay and safe, and it was not quite the case.
That I am superior life form.
Why does this guy keep as elusive? Oh, it just must be some kind of visual error with the messenger. Nope, he still just got elusive somehow. Alright. Rip it and roll it. Victory finally achieved. GG. On to the next one. We'll try and get one more in. I mean, we try and keep these videos at the hour mark, and these games have gone on obnoxiously long. But been some doozies. Been some doozies for certain. Fucking Sump Monument. It's been such a joke. Alright, let's see what we can do. Well, we learned our lesson against Lee Sin previously. Just hang on to the Sump Monument. And so, like, I think we get rid of everything except it. We're against Action instead of Viktor this time. I would like to be able to remove an early action if we can. Found the Mystic Shot. We did, like, just discard Blowback and discard...
Remember, we're the ones who make progress happen.
the Tellstones, and so maybe we should have hung on to the Tellstones. It's kind of nice to be able to blow up that Lee Sin equipment, or the Lee Sin landmark. Action landmark. We'll get there eventually.
Night flowers upon my blade.
Who is this? I think these decks play both Avenging Vastaya and they play the vulnerable guy. Let's just let him have it.
want to die? Don't do terrible things.
And it's pretty tempting to just drop the big beam onto Akshan. I worry if we go for the Mystic Shot, at this point he can potentially have a +2/+1 to Shape Stone. And this is like, he doesn't have the mana for a... what's it called? Avenging Vestaya at that point. He was down to 2 mana. So that seemed like a reasonable spot to just come in and pop off that... spell. This deck doesn't... Does this thing still play Homecoming? I'm trying to think of what their potential is outside of a... the potential to deal with a Sump Monument. Okay, if we're gonna play that game, we'll just pass.
Flesh is a weakness we must shed.
Scores to settle, crooks to kill. You know how it is.
I would assume that this one's probably an Avenging Vestaya. It makes a little bit more sense. Maybe not. Oh. Given the number of cards that he's played this game, it's more likely to be an Avenging Vestaya since he's already played a Trooper. But, let's to see. It is the All-Terrain Trooper. It's like he's about to get a lot of nonsense happening out here. a lot of shenanigans about to roll through.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
So it's like we can potentially attack. Just Viktor, of course, dies to the All-Terrain Trooper, and then
Fixing the world, one scout.
I kind of like having the Swinging Glaive stuck over on his All-Terrain Trooper for the moment. It does give us another chance to potentially blow back onto Akshan. See if that's a thing. But I think at this point we just need to like drop a monument and then find the big invoke thing. I think we could probably shut him down for enough damage at that point. But again, like Homecoming
Finders keepers.
is potentially a thing, right? That's recall your own unit, recall an opponent's unit.
This is just.
So I'm not certain how worried about that I need to be. Okay. Alright, time to have some fun. What a joke. What a joke. Time to have some fun. So he does have this this Warlord Sword that's getting pretty close to popping off. It's like I'm kind of considering whether or not you ever want to Tellstones this thing. I'm leaning more towards just playing Progress Day. Like I think now that we have the Sump Monuments on the board, it's more important to find the spell that the Cosmic Call than it is to get that off of the board. So I'm just gonna Progress Day out of this. We can dig with Zonite Urchin if it still doesn't turn up. Double Star Shaping, okay.
Anything else?
Well, we dug. We did not find, but dig we do.
Without skill.
Pleasure to see you, Master.
But dig we do. These Victors slipped yet? Yeah, we haven't played hardly any created cards this game.
We laugh at them. Ha!
Alright, here comes the Lee Sin combo, sure.
As the dragon wills.
It's typically so scary, but now I just don't even care. Just don't even care. I don't know. Maybe he'll have a homecoming or something. Nope. It was at 60 puff caps. Another 60. 120, and so it'll get us about 6 damage a turn. Sure. It's just like, just obnoxious how little you have to care. Alright, so we're looking at the Serpent. Now, next turn we can push towards like an Aphelios. Maybe we would like to do something with that. I mean, we've got to start at least dropping some of these created cards, right?
As darkness falls, the moon rises.
But all seems reasonable to me. We'll pick up the stun, try and break some of these spell shields. I don't think we're going to be doing too much in terms of popping these units in the middle of combat or something, but kind of is what it is. There's our Cosmic Call. We took 6. You want any of this stuff? I guess the Immortal Fire is a reasonable one. Not as amped about it as I should be, I guess. And then do we realistically just attack with everybody in this combat? Like, it was kind of nice in the previous game being in a spot to where you're just like, well, you know, I'm not going to get any of my units dragon kicked because I just don't have any units on the board. And then we got all of our Celestials down on that one big turn. But I don't know, maybe we're not able to do that. Are you kidding me? 13? Alright. Well, I guess Aryan Jesus was not on our side today. Oh boy. So what a gem. What a gem of a set of games. Let's pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. And so I really just intended today to really be focusing onto the Cosmic Call. You know, we got a lot of really big, high-powered, and awesome plays off of the Cosmic Call. You should be, you know, pretty familiar with it up to this point. I just think the big one to call out now is just the Sump Monument. You know, I didn't play any Sump Monument in the previous Standard season. I always thought it was just, you know, I didn't want to play the Teemo deck because I thought it was garbage. But then towards the end, I started playing the Targon PNZ Elusives deck, and there you're just like, oh, this is a great home for the Sump Monument, because it's just imagine you're playing the PNZ Elusives deck against pirates, and you're never interacting with each other. You're just attacking. They can't block any of your units, so you deal a bunch of damage, and then they attack back. You don't get to block any of their units because you need your Elusives to stick around, and you can't just be trading back and forth. And so, you know, you keep chunking each other down, and then you get to this critical turn to where you have to decide, you know, okay, am I finally going to block something just to prevent me from dying? And then if I do that, will I have enough to function into the next turn? And the Sump Monument just let you just kind of blow through all of that, in the sense that it was just a race winner. And that's what you kind of start to see in this kind of space, is the opposite end, as to where, you know, if I just have 2 more turns, I'm going to win the game. And so you're able to play the Sump Monument, play a Cosmic Call, your opponent puts 120 puff caps into your deck, and then you go into the next turn and all of your spells are cheaper, and you could just go from there. And that's always the kind of deck that always worried me with the Sump Monument, but it never really came together until this point. So yeah, this is the kind of space to where that could be obnoxious. This feels like the deck that has finally like crept up to where you're like, ooh, Sump Monument. Like, you would have been ridiculous obnoxious in the previous format, and now you're pretty gross right now. And so even with the additional mana cost and the additional puff caps going in, and so this is something that gives me like a little bit of worry, a little bit of pause. I think there's been multiple good things to come out of my play and experimentation with this particular deck. Number one, I think that playing the just essentially Allegiance Targon decks is just complete garbage. You're playing too many bad cards, and you have too much like high-powered invokes that you just don't need. And so I think that was probably a good day 1, day 2 style deck, investigating Cosmic Call while not just getting obliterated by pirates. But I think that moving elsewhere and outward away from playing just terrible cards is the next place to go. And this is where you kind of start to land when you start to look towards something like Viktor and having his kind of created cards cost less thing being one of your big activators. There's a lot of good things happening with this, and then the Sump Monument happens to be kind of obnoxious in here as well. And so it makes me kind of interested to see how this will affect the upcoming weeks, in the sense that both the Monument is exceptionally good. This deck still has a ton of life heal in it, and it just has the actual really good payoff in terms of the Cosmic Call and the big invokes, and it feels like this is going to be a real contender as a top deck. And so outside of that, as far as this deck goes, I need another like 20 games or so. Like I don't know if I'll be able to assemble like the 17 hours it'll take to play 20 games of this deck, but I'm not entirely certain how much Aphelios is actually needed. It felt like our heal was good enough without him. And then you do just have like these awkward and weird cards in here that it's like nice having the value package and the discard stuff, but we didn't really need it a ton. And so there's some definite tweaking that can happen in this deck, but I think this is probably like 35 of 40 being there, 32 of 40 being there, but it's incredibly powerful even playing, like 7 or 8 off optimal cards with the power that we're having come out of this thing. So very good, very strong, very good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Bust and me. Thank you for being here.